Café Anyway, everybody. It's Mike Matthews.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's episode 3264-3264, and Mike Matthews here at Café Anyway, somewhere in podCastro Valley.
Daily Podcast.
podCastro Valley, Monta, last place on earth in the land of Meritopia. And Mike is going to bring you a show, and he might talk about some stuff like the Olympics. Yes, I know that happened a little while ago, but I guess a lot of people watched it, so it's something that you might know. Olympic-sized ratings and huge streaming.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Huge streaming numbers. The 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Olympics delivered its most watched Winter Olympic Games in 12 years.
Daily
NBC
Podcast.
and its digital platforms averaged about 24 million viewers a day. That is nearly 94% higher than just 4 years ago. 94% higher. How on earth did they do that? 94%, almost 100% more. The U.S. audience streamed about 15 billion minutes. 15 billion minutes of Olympic content, more than double the total for all of the previous 2022 Winter Olympics. Oh my gosh. Were the Winter Olympics in 2022 that bad? I don't even remember them because my mom had just passed away. I certainly wasn't watching any of that. I was so involved with that, and I don't even have TV. I haven't had TV, actual TV, what you old people would call your TV with your commercials and everything. I haven't had that. It must have been, I think, around it's been at least 25 years since I had actual TV, which was odd because we stayed at a hotel. My lovely lady friend loves to make fun of the way I say hotel.
And here's today's podcast picture.
And we stayed in the town where the podcast pictures of Pacific Grove, and this beautiful house there that's on the downtown strip there. It was a beautiful evening, rather cold and windy, but my lovely lady friend and I went down there. This was on my lovely lady friend's birthday, and we walked around. We saw this beautiful sight there, this beautifully lit old Pacific Grove house. And see that cool picture and other cool pictures from the trip at mikesdailypodcast.com. She was on the last show. We had so much fun discussing things. She got a little irritated with me talking a little too much about Dean Pitchford. But hey, you probably didn't know who that was. The late great Basil the Boxer and I went to Pacific Grove quite a few times. Went there once with lovely lady friend years ago. Very wonderful experience. So the Olympics were big. By the way, I will not be doing a podcast on Monday in honor of a very special day that has to do with pets. I am talking, of course, about International Rescue Cat Day. International Rescue Cat Day is observed March 2nd every year. There are lots of homeless cats on the streets just waiting for a day like this where people will come to take them off the streets. Chowda. And maybe name them Chowda. The cat that belongs to Xena Warrior Princess on the TV show My Life is Murder. The actress that plays her, I just remember her as Xena Warrior Princess, but she's not playing that character. But she is a detective on this show that takes place in New Zealand, and her cat is named Chowda. Excuse me for that little side trip there. But it is the day where people come to take the cats off the streets and adopt them as members of their families. To adopt a cat, you just need to visit a pet adoption agency. And after the agency does their due diligence and everything checks out, they can go ahead with the adoption. Most domesticated cats are valued by humans for companionship, especially by those who work from home.
I think part of what is happening, I think Democrats are lighting their hair on fire to get you to cover this story to try and keep repeating the same story.
About cats? People who work from home, who love their cats, and people who live in apartments. And, you know, there are all kinds of cat rescues in the Bay Area. people really care about cats. There are still a bunch of stray cats, of feral cats living in the Bay Area, but they're doing what they can. And
I want to be the computer from Star Trek.
Well, you are. Just if you want to, just say you are, and you will be. But the wonderful Patches the cat, who we discussed a little bit on the last podcast, he basically adopted us and now sleeps on top of me, and he's the warmest, most cuddliest.
They took our job.
He took the job of being a cuddly pet on top of me when I sleep. So in honor of that, we will be taking the day off for International Rescue Cat Day, all that from nationaltoday.com. Very fascinating website. If you ever think you're in the middle of a day that has no significance whatsoever, look up that website. Not to give them a plug. They're not paying me.
You're fab. You're switched on. You're a bit of all right.
Is what I say about that website. And now my slug, they should pay me something for talking about them. But I caught a little bit of the Olympics while I was staying at the hotel in Pacific Grove with my lovely lady friend, and I think I caught a couple minutes, and it's exciting. You would want to watch it. I could see where people would get hooked. Whatever they're doing, they did it perfectly, NBC, in catching the people's attention. But Alyssa Liu, she's a good one. Apparently, she didn't win just a medal. She unlocked a multi-million-dollar commercial runway. Olympic payout is modest. It's about $40,000 for a gold medal. The Olympic gold in 1992 with Christy Yamaguchi, she ended up earning $3 million annually in sponsorships.
You've got to be kidding me.
At her commercial peak. Sponsors like Coca-Cola, Chevrolet, and Disney, they will come knocking. And there's also the long-term ice tours, like Stars on Ice. People love going to those. And then there's speaking engagements. You can make up to $75,000 per appearance. How nice. Work if you can get it. As we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast.
Anyway.
Café Anyway, somewhere in PodCastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Meritofka, broadcasting from Café Anyway here in PodCastro Valley, Mont. Now, people, let's see, there's the comeback narrative multiplier. Okay. Oh.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
What is that? Well, Alyssa Liu is likely to make $5 million to $15+ million over the course of her post-Olympic career. But she, I guess, had retired in 2022. Is that what I'm reading? And the Miracle on Ice economic boom. The United States had a...
I'm really busy right now.
They were really busy with the 2-1 overtime victory. The first Olympic men's hockey gold medal, the first one in 46 years. And yes, they were being completely, you saw them on primetime during the State of the Union speech. The women's team won also.
We have a basic responsibility to protect people's data. And if we can't do that, then we don't deserve to have the opportunity to serve.
I don't know if Mark Zuckerberg was cheering them on, but the women's team won in a 2-1 overtime thriller against Canada. Now, there's a big cultural ripple for the NHL and the PWHL, Professional Women's Hockey Leagues. The victories are projected to drive a surge in hockey participation amongst the young folk, the youth. Let's hear it for the youth, doing their ice skating and playing hockey and smashing into each other and losing teeth. The victories, also the NHL reached a record $7 billion in revenue last season. The salary cap projected to spike, though, because of all this, by over 25%. And NHL stars jerseys like the game winner Jack Hughes, they're expected to hit record highs. Oh, look who's here.
This is Casey Kasem. You're listening to Mike's Daily Podcast.
That's what this is.
Broadcasting live from Café Anyway in the heart of PodCastro Valley.
We have so much fun.
Starring your host, Mike Matthews.
We're outside of Café Anyway.
Mike got his start in radio waking up at the butt crack of dawn
it was
on
really
Sunday
early.
mornings, playing back my show at a little radio station in Santa Barbara.
I love that
Here's
station.
a long-distance dedication to you, Mike.
Thank
All
you,
the way
sir.
from the grave to you, Mike.
You
From me,
are too
Casey
kind.
Kasem. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. If only he was still around. He was awesome. So, there have been billions of dollars lost because of those blizzards, the bad air. When the air goes bad.
Nuts! They're nuts!
I am a
they
little
know
nuts.
nothing!
But yes, the powerful blizzard stopped air travel at major airports. New York's LaGuardia, Boston's Logan International. They saw 90% of their day's schedule canceled recently. American Airlines will lose over $200 million. That is 15% of the total scheduled U.S. departures is what that's about. Were canceled. And the daily cancellations usually run about 1%, but this is up to 15%. All right. Outside of Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcast Rally, look who's here. Hi, Mark. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How you doing?
Huge.
Hey, to Disgruntled Fiddle Player, tell you what.
What?
I would have watched the Olympics, but Benita was too interested in watching things like that wonderful show.
What president ever talks like that? That's not who we are.
Biden tries to put me to sleep with his very soft voice. And they're trying to put me to sleep with that show.
I have no idea what show you're talking about.
Yeah, I was falling asleep.
No, wake up.
You're darn tootin'.
Look who else is here.
Hello, Mike. I make delicious root beer. Have to... right now. I make the root beer.
I'm going to have some. Let me reach over here where the root beer is.
I caught you a delicious bass.
Oh, you didn't have to do that. I don't know if that's going to go with the root beer, but... Oh, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, drink right now. I'll cut you.
I just did. How are things in the basement?
Well, we were watching the Olympics, and then I made the root beer.
You are fake news.
Fake news. And then I was called fake news. So I'm busy.
I really like my job.
Wow, your voice does all kinds of things. It's very fascinating. Hey, guess. I'm going to delete that. Just going to delete that.
Jeez. Oh, someone's going to get fired.
Because of what we just heard. No. I would like to thank Rob Black for that fascinating information. I did his show. He's heard on AM 1220 KDOW weekdays in the, what hour? 5 p.m. hour. And he's on Cron TV Monday through Thursday in the 9 o'clock hour. We were talking a little bit about pets. Did you know that feeding dogs certain kinds of fresh, whole foods can benefit them mentally and physically?
All right, we made it through. Da-da-da-da.
Woo, da-da-da-da. Certain additives found in human foods, particularly xylitol, are harmful to dogs. And a dog nutritionist can ensure that your dog is getting the proper nutrition. So
you're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way.
If you have a dog nutritionist that treats you horrible, I wouldn't use them. And if you're named the Huckabee, you may want to stay away from dogs. Not sure why I said that. I know Sarah Huckabee had this whole thing about...
Any quick thoughts for us on
Bitcoin?
Pro and con on crypto?
A lot of times, a lot of older people just aren't going to understand it. It's super volatile. It acts like a risk asset. I don't really buy the destruction of the dollar. Like, well, if we have a fiat currency, there's no backing to it. So if it ever goes to zero, you're going to own crypto. Well, US dollar ever goes to zero, good luck logging in onto any internet, right? I mean, how are you going to exchange crypto? I'd rather own gasoline and bullets at that point if we're going to be, Mad Max beyond Thunderdome. So I don't like that angle at all.
That guy's a certified financial planner, so I would say I'm glad that I did not buy a bunch of Bitcoin because it has gotten so low. It got up to $120,000 per Bitcoin in October. And now it's fallen to half that. I want to say that all the financial experts in financial media that talk about Bitcoin talk out of both sides of their faces. And I don't like it when they talk about it because inevitably when it's doing well, they don't want to caution you and tell you that it's going to drop. And when it's doing horrible, they're also worried that it's suddenly going to shoot back up again and they're going to look like an idiot. And I guess that's true of all things they talk about because stocks can do whatever, gold can do whatever, silver, etc., bonds. But back to dogs. No, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, whatever her name, doesn't she have 3 names altogether? But she had said something about how, was it the Kamala didn't have kids. She doesn't have, she's a stepmom, which is absolutely fine. Whatever. I do not have kids myself. Who was it that said, JD Vance said the thing about cats, about women that have cats and something to that effect. So I guess what I'm saying is be a good pet person and study up on what you should and should not give to your dog. For example, as a dog lover, you want to ensure that your pup lives the longest and healthiest life possible. Eating the same dry kibble every day can make life pretty mundane for any living being. Now, I would like to tell you that what is really big on right-wing radio, there's a guy that he pushes his very healthy dog food on just about all the big right-wing national hosts shows. Even on when Charlie Kirk was live on his show, Charlie Kirk would do a live read, as they call it, for his product. So I'm saying everybody should love pets. Doesn't matter what party or affiliation or political persuasion. But eating the same dry kibble every day can make life pretty mundane for any living being. Still, it can be challenging to filter through the social media advice and all the other ad messaging and stuff you're getting bombarded with. The best food for dogs, apparently, from eatingwell.com, one of them is apples. They're a great source of vitamin C, vitamin A, potassium, antioxidants, and fiber. And that is good for dogs. I bet it's good for me, too. I eat a lot of apples during the summer because I got a bunch of apple trees in my backyard that adopted me years ago. And every year I get more and more apples, so I try to eat them. I freeze the ones I don't use in this apple cobbler thing I make. And I'm making it pretty regularly during the summer. And then I then freeze the rest. And I put them in smoothies for the rest of the year. But blueberries are high in vitamin C, fiber, antioxidants, and phytochemicals. Yes, they say blueberries are also good for dogs. Frozen blueberries can be great to cool your dog down. And keeping a bag of organic frozen blueberries in your freezer for hot days as a sweet treat will make them happy. Hey, peanuts, it says. Peanuts are an excellent source of protein, and peanut butter is great for masking medication. Like if you got to stick a little pill in there, they can't tell. They just eat the peanut butter. They don't know. Or if you want to lure them into the bath, be sure that your peanut butter is as plain as possible and free of additives like palm oil, sugar, and salt. Cucumber, they say green veggies high in water content like cucumbers, green beans, and zucchini are also great, especially for dogs with ravenous appetites or trying to achieve a healthier body weight, because it's low in calories, high in vitamins B, C, K, potassium, and magnesium. But make sure to cut off the ends of the green beans and cut the cucumbers into smaller pieces to avoid choking. And some vets also advise peeling the skin. And then lean meats cooked in water or its own juices without seasoning or excess oil or fat is ideal. Be careful with the bones. Macadamia nuts, no, wrong. Do not give macadamia nuts to your dogs. They have toxicosis. There's this nut toxicosis. It's characterized by vomiting and weakness, hypothermia, and central nervous system depression when the dogs eat macadamia nuts. So very bad for them. Also, grapes and raisins. They don't like, it's bad for them. The toxins are absorbed into the body, and they can cause incurable kidney failure in dogs. So beware of that. And of course, chocolate. We've known this for a long time. Do not give chocolate to your dog. It contains caffeine and theobromine, two chemicals that can affect the dog's central nervous system, and it can cause dehydration and hurt their hearts too. So any kind of caffeine, dogs should avoid those. And alliums like onions, garlic, leeks, chives, all of those, they're bad for dogs. It can damage their red blood cells. And beware when cooking with these veggies, as a tiny piece can cause serious harm to pets, especially smaller dogs. And while we may not readily give these vegetables to our pets alone, they are often hidden in sauces and seasonings for meat and other foods. All of these are bad for dogs. And finally, chewing gum. Yes, why would you even give chewing gum to it? That's dumb, to a dog. Even a small amount of xylitol is going to cause a dog's blood sugar to plummet to dangerous levels. So that's why, and chewing gum has xylitol in it. It can give them a loss of balance, tremors, even liver failure. So no chewing gum for your dog. But hey, you can do the blueberries and cucumbers and peanut butter and even apples. I remember because of that apple tree I mentioned earlier in my backyard, my dog, the late great Basil the Boxer, used to go and I'd throw them to him and he'd grab them like it was a ball and he would start chewing them. And it was only when we were playing. He wouldn't just eat the apples usually. It was only when we were playing with them. Ah, such great memories. What do you think about all that? What are your suggestions? Here is the number to call.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
And with all things having to do with Mike's Daily Podcast, we go to the main frame and hear from A Frame. We always love to hear from you, and we thank you so much for listening to this show that's called Mike's Daily Podcast. Thank you.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye.